All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and get right back to what we were talking about. We're talking a little bit about, let's say that you're someone tuning in tonight and maybe you're interested in Creekside, or maybe you have a loved one that you think would really fit well. Let's go ahead and talk about what is the experience like, maybe what folks need to do as that first step, and what they can expect.
Well, they can either call us and make an appointment to come in, or they can feel free to stop by. We accept all walk-ins. If I'm not available, somebody will be there to help them. And that's usually the first steps. I recommend that people do their legwork. You can never go wrong when you're just looking at all your options. And I tell people all the time, you know, do your due diligence. You know, do what you think is best for your loved one. Look at all the communities. You'll know when it's right, how it'll make you feel on the inside. And that doesn't mean not to come to us in crisis mode, because that happens as well when there's a fall, a hospitalization, you know, you're getting discharged from rehab and they suddenly tell you, you know, you can't bring mom home. You got to find a place to go. Of course we do, you know, I answer my phone 24 hours a day. I work on the weekends. I'll come in late at night. You know, I make myself very available to families because I know crisis doesn't take a holiday, it doesn't get a vacation, so we try to be very proactive and supportive for our families. And Leslie as well. I can always count on Leslie. I mean, you know, she's an executive director that will answer her cell phone. She is always there. I mean, I never feel like I'm not supported. I mean, we have a lot of fun together, but she's also there as the foundation that we need, and especially when I need it, she's the first one to jump in and help.
Which I think is such an important balance, and you know, we can see that here tonight. It's great to talk about the fun aspects of this place, as well as knowing that your loved one is getting the best, most proper care they can receive. Let's talk about any advice you want to give people to, you said kind of do your legwork, do your research. Any good questions you've heard in the past, or anything you can tell folks, you know, maybe ask these questions or be prepared for this?
You know, I always recommend for you know, when you go into a facility, you're seeing it out of your eyes as a healthy individual. You know, I recommend you to walk the campus, walk where the rooms are to the dining room. How far is it? You know, take into account, you know, your loved one's mobility. Is that going to be something that's feasible for them? You know, ask the hard questions, you know, staffing, you know, meds, how do I get a hold of somebody if something's wrong, who's available to talk to me, because I'm usually the first person that people come in and they make that connection with. So, I mean, they call me if their corn dog's cold, they call me if, you know, if their medicine was late, they call me if they can't find their, you know, if they can't find their washcloths. I mean, and that's okay, because I'm always going to be that support, because I owe it to that family. And I feel very much an obligation when they come in, that they're like my grandparents. My grandmother, you know, we've talked about in the past, had Alzheimer's. So, I mean, I take it very seriously. I want to give everybody the care that we tell them that we will provide when they move in. And if that means that I have to get in my car and, you know, drive to work at 10 o'clock at night, that's exactly what I do, and I've done it more times than I can count.
You know, those little things are just as important as those big things when it comes to your family. I would want to know the same about my loved ones. And, you know, one fun topic is food. One of my favorite topics. We were talking a little bit about it earlier. We touched base, but let's go back into that. I think you said it's a dietary director. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about it. Is this new?
Well, he's new to us.
Okay.
His name is Jeremy Banks. He's got his degree, I think it's culinary arts,
from Auburn,
he is a yes, that's right. Look at you, Lori. And then he has his CDM, so he's a certified dietary manager. We're really proud to have him. I'm Cajun, so you know, food is really important to me. He's doing a banana fosta in front of all of us for lunch tomorrow. That's a surprise. He doesn't know that I know that. Sorry, Jeremy.
Sorry, Jeremy.
I definitely want to keep talking about food, but I do want to say one more thing about what we previously talked about before I forget this. I think it's really important for families to have realistic expectations. Now, how does that happen? Maybe you have to do a little bit of research ahead of time, because when you go from living at home to living in a community environment, things change. And most often for the best, but the initial transition sometimes becomes difficult. So I would encourage an open dialogue and asking those tough questions. Well, how realistic is it for me to expect that, you know, mom needs assistance with showers 3 days a week, and we need it at 7 o'clock. So we can set those days. Would that time need to fluctuate a little bit? Yes. So I think talking about realistic expectations or asking that question when you go in to visit a community, what would you consider realistic expectations for me with mom?
Great advice.
Most people never have that experience before, so it's their first experience. It's, you know, it's not cheap to make this decision, to make this commitment. It's never good to continue to move people. So make sure you're doing your due diligence initially. Which brings me back to the food, because
I wanted to say something before you jump to the food.
I
gotta tell the people something. You know, what I always tell my families is, if you want a perfect community, you know, don't move to Creekside, because we're not perfect. And if anybody tells you they are perfect, don't move to that community either, because no one is perfect. I mean, there is no perfect place.
Mistake maybe once, right?
Yeah,
just that one
half a mistake.
Yeah,
but
still
little bitty.
But back to food.
Yes,
I
mean, I think it is important.
Yeah,
think
very
about
important.
If you do nothing else in the course of a day, you are going to eat, you know, at least 2 meals. I mean, Lori and I mean, we're on the feed, so we eat a couple more than 2.
You said 3 earlier, and I was like, oh, more like 5.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you're supposed to eat small, but at any rate, it's their social hour.
Yes.
So they're most likely, that's where they're going to have a lot of activity. So we try to include food into a lot of our activities. So you notice Lori said about the roasting a pig. Now that's new to me, honey. I never heard of that before, but I'm going to try it.
It's the first time for us too.
Oh, well.
I tell you what, I mean, this really, honestly, I think food is an occasion, especially for that, if we're looking at the type of resident there, that generation. I mean, the dining room, you know, you were telling me about that earlier. I mean, it's you guys go all out, and that is
linens, it's fine. I mean, it is. They order off of menus. We have
leather-bound menus. They get to order from the menu. Think about it. Elderly people eat with their eyes before their taste buds. So if we make a lovely presentation, they're going to be more inclined to want to eat that. So it helps with my Cajun roots, because I come up with all these crazy ideas, and they work out well.
Worked out really well.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, we don't have crawfish bowls yet. We're waiting on Tim, our owner, to give us that okay. And once that happens, we're going to have a crawfish bowl too. But anyway.
You know, we're more than halfway through tonight's segment, and I just want to go ahead and remind people that if you have anything you're curious about, you can just give us a call. It's okay if you don't want to be live on air. You can always tell, you know, the folks in our production room a little bit about maybe what your question is, your story is. They'll tell me. We'll kind of relay the answer here on air. But really, it's just a great line of communication with 2 folks that are the experts. You really are. And, you know, obviously you can tell you love what you do and you're passionate about it, or you wouldn't be sitting here tonight. And really, tonight's all about you just telling us about Creekside at 3 Rivers. It's where you are every day with people that you obviously care and love about. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Just any aspects of it that we're going to wrap the show up later tonight that, you know, if anybody has any questions, you just let us know. And these 2 will answer it with a few laughs along the way.
Absolutely.
All right, well, they tell me we have to go to break, so we'll go to one more break. We'll be right back. Keep it here.
You know what?